Everyone. I am Carmen Hansen, your district membership chair and a member of Rushmore Rotary here in Rapid City in the Black Hills. And I'd like to thank everyone for coming and logging on to hear more about proven strategies to recruit and retain members. This is part of the 12-step plan to membership that our district membership team has created, and we wanted to offer this opportunity for you. So there's two housekeeping. Number one, I ask you to all mute your phones, devices, so that we don't have any feedback. And if you have any questions or comments, use chat or raise your hand and we'll go ahead and answer them. So I would like to move on. This is only a 30-minute video, so I'm going to move on and introduce Joel Sylvester. He is with the Sioux Falls Downtown Club. He's head of membership with their club and has gone through a recent strategic plan with their club. And I'd like to turn this over to Joel. And thank you, Joel, for doing this.
Sure. Welcome, everybody. We've got a half hour scheduled here. I think our time will go relatively quickly. A couple things that I'll just kind of start with is I have been part of membership for a lot of different groups, Wichita, Kansas, Fargo, North Dakota, Sioux Falls, as well as some international groups. And I think it always comes down to the same couple of things. I think it can be an intimidating process to think about it, but I will also tell you, I truly believe there's value in the process when you really start thinking about why you're a member, why your club matters, what your value drives. I think it always comes back down to the five things that we're going to outline today. In Sioux Falls, the Downtown Rotary, we have 330 members. We are the 17th largest in the world. We need 2 more members to beat out Tokyo, Japan. So it's not very many times that I think Sioux Falls, South Dakota and Tokyo, Japan are in the same sentence. And then Bangalore, India is next. So again, I'm pretty sure that those don't run together. But ours is the largest group in the district. We've seen significant year-over-year growth the last couple of years, really using this strategy. So the first thing that I always challenge clubs to do is really look at your club and think about what is the value. What is the value to you? So whether you're the president or an officer or part of the membership committee, and I sometimes think this is just a good conversation. Sometimes you start and everyone's quiet and can't think about it and things like that, but it doesn't have to be as daunting as a mission and vision and value statement. Just, why are you a member? Why do you think others should join? And I think sometimes spending some time thinking about why you're a member can be, really a good thing as far as that goes. What does the value provide? And then what is the message that you want every member to know? And how often in your daily Rotary life is that message being told? Something that when we did our strategic plan in Sioux Falls that we started doing, we don't sing anymore, for those of you that have attended the Sioux Falls Downtown Rotary in the past, but every session we do the 4-way test. We start by reciting the 4-way test. And that came from the membership committee talking about the value. Why is it important? What do we want everyone to know? And if you could summarize Rotary in one sentence or one thing, what would it be? And that's what's so great about this is Rotary has so many resources available. We'll get into it in a little bit, but the resource center, the groups, you're really never alone. And there's all this stuff is out there. So just getting started is the biggest step, is just starting, thinking about your membership and think about your value. Another big thing that we uncovered in the process is that for Sioux Falls Downtown Rotary, and each one of your clubs can decide, kind of where you fit. But for us, we really determined that we are strength as a community, not as necessarily the institution of Rotary. Like, the institution of Rotary is amazing. The oldest, largest service organization in the world, all the things we've done for polio and clean water, and the list goes on and on and on. But to us, our true value was in the community that we had. And as we've started to recruit maybe some younger members, some members that are more engaged, you know, everywhere you go these days, people want to be part of a community, whether it's a community of people that, you know, eat at the same restaurant or follow the same clubs or collect this or raise the same type of dog or whatever the case might be. And so we've really found, or what we found is that defining the value that you add, for us, downtown Rotary, it was really the program. So our value was growing out of the programs and really making a focus to make sure we have world-class programs, no throwaway programs. Every program has to matter. And we now have people kind of lining up. We only get 46 a year. And you better bring your A game if you're going to be part of the program. We actually changed our program tempo a little bit too. It used to be somebody had to show up with a PowerPoint. They stood there and they talked for 20 or 25 minutes and then they took questions. And now we actually do more of a sit down, a panel type format. It has encouraged more people to come forward, those that were maybe scared before, not scared, but intimidated before. It's been much more interactive, much more engaging. So because we wanted to understand what the value was, we looked at our programs and value every single program and the way we do them. We value community over the institution. And we do the four-way test as part of every one of our meetings because we think that's what everybody needs to know. So that's step one, is come up with your value. Once you have that value and you've gone through that process, and it might take a while. For us, it was multiple meetings and multiple back and forth. But once you do that, then the next step is to really set a goal. You know, I believe whether it's in life or business or sports or Rotary, you're never going to hit a goal unless you set one. And this is a fun part of the process too. So it's kind of fun to dig back through your history. Is your club growing or shrinking? You know, and you know, where do you rank? It was a little easier and more fun for us because we were in the top 23 when we started looking, and now we've broken, you know, through that number. But where do you rank? How do you look historically? If you're the largest you've ever been, celebrate that. If you're declining, own it, understand why, maybe go back to the value slide and understand that piece of it. But you know, size is a good first goal to set. Where do you want to be? Maybe set it this year, next year, 3 years, 5 years. But and then that kind of opens up a couple more conversations. It's retention. You know, a penny saved is a penny earned, the same way a Rotarian retained is a Rotarian earned, right? That if your goal is to grow your club to a certain number, it's a lot easier to make sure you keep your current club members because A, that helps your number, and B, they're going to be your champions. They're going to be your advocates. They're going to be the ones bringing new people in. So a couple things for us that we looked at with retention was looking at orientation. We've always had a new member orientation, but that's like their first day. And we were trying to pack in everything about Rotary, you know, what's happened over the last 125 years. And so we really kind of simplified that down to that first, what do you need to know about the Sioux Falls Downtown Rotary? What do you need to know about the community? What are maybe the top 5 things you need to know about Rotary International and the global things that we're doing? And then we followed up with Orientation 2.0 after 1 year because we were trying to do it all in one session and it was just overkill. But now we get people in, that we have the initial orientation, then we have orientation 2.0. In that 2.0, we can start talking to things like leadership roles. Are you interested? You know, Karen, you said you're trying to, you know, find a new leader in Laverne to take over the reins. If their first day you talk to them about being president, that's probably going to be difficult. Where if you get them in there for a year and get them drinking the Kool-Aid, then there's a little bit more of a chance to try to bring that piece in. Another thing we identified is people usually that first month or two, they're really excited, they attend. We do a 60-day check-in. So after 60 days, we follow up, and we don't put that on. Originally, it was kind of assumed that whoever invites you to Rotary and brings you through the Rotary process would just be your mentor or your guide forever. Well, that didn't happen because, you know, Linda, you said you're in Florida. We have a lot of that. We have a lot of snowbirds. And just because the person that maybe brought you to Rotary in October, by December, they might not be around the club as much. They might be, down in Florida enjoying the weather. So we actually, the membership team, took it to start at 60 days, reaching out and introducing themselves to members, finding out, it in a perfect world, they love it and everything's going great. Sometimes you're hearing, well, this isn't what I really, this isn't what I expected, or I don't know this, or I don't know that. So that 60-day check-in has really been a strong time for us to reinvigorate folks. And then that 1 year point, that kind of orientation 2.0. So those have been things that have helped us with retention. As you're setting goals, one of the advantages or one of the recommendations that we think is important is looking at diversity. Who's not at the table that should be at the table? Who's not part of the group that should be part of the group? In Sioux Falls, several years ago, we were being one of the ways we were described was male, stale, and pale. And it was mostly older men. So we made a conscious effort to look at our diversity and understand that if we're truly going to be a community that represents our community, we need to have voices at the table that that represent different genders, different age, different industries, different ethnicities. Plus, if we want Rotary to survive us, we need to be bringing in that next generation as far as that goes. So when we made a conscious effort to look at that and understand it, within 18 months, we decreased our average age by 2 years, which is huge because just by definition, every year you get older, right? Every year your status quo club is going to get a year older. So by getting 2 years younger, in 18 months, it's moving the opposite direction. And it looks like we'll probably in the next Rotary year have gotten another year younger. So through intentionality, understanding that one of the things we did as well is we added a scholarship program, 5 scholarships per year where you can come in and pay. The first year you pay a third of the normal membership. The next year you pay half, and then you become a full-time member. And this was a way for us to attract some folks that are maybe younger, don't have the financial means to do that $500 membership, which is what the Sioux Falls membership is, the Sioux Falls Downtown Rotary membership is. Maybe they're part of a nonprofit that they're not comfortable making that budget ask or that budget distinction from that end of it. So we do 5 scholarships per year. It's a 3-year scholarship. We still do ask that they pay a third their first year, so they've got some skin in the game. That $175 to make sure that there's some value and that they're taking advantage of it. And then we still and then the second year it goes to half, and then the third they become a full member. And then a call to action as you're setting your goal and you're coming up with what you want the size to be, whatever is important, whether it's diversity, if you're looking at retention, then really putting a challenge in place. For Downtown Rotary, what we did is we asked every member to bring 3 guests per year, because we believe that's truly where knowledge of Rotary starts, is by bringing a guest. And 3 guests per year per member. Once you're a guest, it makes it that much easier to make the ask. Plus, when we have guests come, we get their email, and then we can market to them from that end of it. So then that allows either the secretary or the president or the membership or whoever to kind of do that. And then we do ask the goal is for 1 new member per year per member. And we keep track. We have the little thermometer. Last year, Laura Mitchell, for any of you that know her, Laura Dugard, Dennis Dugard's daughter, she halfway through the year made everybody stand up and said, sit down if you've brought a guest, or no, sit down if you've brought a new member. And some people sat down, and then sit down if you brought a guest. And so it was kind of public shaming, but it sure was fun, because the next week we had a record number of guests, and then the next month we had a record number of members. So she did it the right way. She's fun, and she did it more as a just kind of a reminder and as kind of a versus a true public shaming. But A true call to action. So again, define your value, set your goals. Any organization that succeeds, set goals. This whole SMART goal piece of it is a way that a lot of organizations will go through, and then make sure you have that call to action and a measurement. What gets measured is what gets done from the end of it. We did put a couple of contests in place. Our Rotary group is pretty competitive. I think a lot are. One of the things that we put forward from a contest standpoint was we had all the past presidents pitted against each other to see who could bring the most guests and have the most members. We also, if you had a new member during our membership drive, you got your name put in a hat for a free meal for a year. So if they came every single time, our meals at the time were $10, so it was technically a $500 value. Most our members don't attend every time. It's usually probably about a quarter of the time or a third of the time. So in the grand scheme of things, the cost was relatively minimal. But the person that won shows up and has his meal and just makes a big deal of it every single time. Oh, this meal's on you guys. It's a free meal. And has some fun with it that as far as that goes. The other thing that I think is good when you come up with a contest is to make sure you've done the first two steps, right? Define your value and define your goals, because the goal is not just to get as many butts in the seats as possible. For most Rotaries, that's what we found but it is a good time to really define again what, certain groups have bylaws. I know a lot of the people in this district are going through their bylaws, but what is a member, what isn't? It's a good time to define that, and then even kind of celebrate it, that for the people in the room, they qualify to be Rotarians because of whatever qualifications they have. It's a time to celebrate that, a time to get everybody's head kind of in the same space of what is a Rotarian, and then kind of move forward from there. Communication, understand a tempo of communication. What we do is our first Rotary of every month is we have a membership moment where we, bring up where we're at for members, introduce new members. Depending on how many members we have, we maybe have a This Is Your Life, but setting once a month to have a membership moment keeps it in the forefront, makes sure that it stays there. And then, don't forget to celebrate your successes. For us, the day we passed Tokyo, or the day we passed Memphis, Tennessee, we kind of made a big deal about it. It was kind of fun to do some comparisons between Memphis, Tennessee, and Sioux Falls, South Dakota. The day we pass Tokyo, Japan will be a big celebration. It doesn't happen on exactly the day. It happens when Rotary numbers get published, but it's still kind of fun to be able to, once you hit a certain membership goal and record, to celebrate those successes and have fun with it. And then build an action plan. Once you've done those things and gone through the process, I think it makes it relatively easy to build an action plan as far as that goes. Now I have to unshare for a minute so I can reshare. As you guys go through this process too, within and Carmen, can you refresh everybody's memory while I find this shared document of where they can find these resources?
Yes, in the email that went out today with the link, there were 3 resources that were attached. One of them was on diversity, and it was a just kind of a questions that you can ask yourself, go through as a club, where you're lacking in diversity and where to find members. The second one was a prospective member exercise. So this first one that's up is I believe it's the prospective member exercise. Well, this is something different. This is something that Joel's going to go over. And then the third one is a strategic plan. And these 3 resources kind of tie in with what Joel is talking about. And like Joel said at the beginning, there are so many resources. They're all on the RI website. These particular resources will be shared again via email, and then we will be getting them up on the district website as well, along with this video. But if there's a resource that you're specifically looking for, you go to Rotary International's website. You do need a login to get to the member area. And then you go to knowledge and resources and just tab down to membership. And it'll take you to the membership website. And then you can just search under the names, and there are several categories there. And don't hesitate to reach out to Joel, myself, your AG, for as far as first steps. And I think that was a question that I would have for Joel with clubs, is what's the first step of how we go about doing this?
Yeah, so up on the screen is a worksheet that we'll share. This is literally how easy it is to start the conversation. So the first step in a 1,000-mile journey is one step forward. And so these are the same things that I talked about. And I think it's great to whoever your leadership is, if you have a membership committee or whatever, but to just sit down and say, what is the value? What is the value behind our club? And come up with your top 2, top 3, top 5, whatever the case might be. That is your first step. And there's so much value in the process because you just start by looking at that. Second is, what are your goals, right? What are the goals that you want? Is it a number of people? Is it diversity? Is it gender? Is it participation? But coming up with those goals. A contest, I believe that's a great way to keep it front and center. So what are some ideas for a contest? Is it a drawing? Is it a public shaming? Is it just a constant thermometer that shows the goal is 25 new members and we're at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14? And then come up with a communication plan. So it's literally that easy. Is a matter of getting it down on paper, working through the process. What's the value? Why are you a member? And who's not at the table? I think for us, that was probably the most impactful. Is we just sat down and said, who's not a member? And luckily, we had a good note taker that slowed us down because people just started throwing out ideas. We don't have anybody from this organization. We don't have anybody from this ethnic background. We don't have anybody from this community. We don't have anybody from this piece of the puzzle. Oh, there's a brand new CEO here. There's a new executive director of this organization. Once you have that happen, then you just sit back and or hopefully hope someone takes all the notes, but you know that you've cracked that nut. And it takes a while in the process to get there, but getting everybody and once you set forward what that value is and people are excited, then it just kind of grows on itself as far as that goes. So I went through kind of those 5 things. This is my worksheet. Carmen had shared the resources that are out there that in full disclosure, didn't know they existed and kind of wish I had. But as luck would have it, or as just the power of Rotary would have it, as I got in and I looked at the strategic planning guide, it was almost all of the things that we had done anyways. There were a few ideas that maybe we had that aren't in here that I covered, and there's maybe a few things that I wish I had known. Understanding how your club represents your community, the diversity piece, that was something that we hadn't really looked at, in the past, but in Sioux Falls, our diversity is growing every single year. So it has been a big piece of the puzzle, as well as making sure that we've got the right voices. And then trying to identify that ideal prospective member exercise can be worthwhile as well. So that is literally all that I've got. Those are the things that have been successful for Sioux Falls Downtown Rotary. Questions, other ideas?
Joel, this is Bruce Nearhood. Like, you hit it out of the park. And for those on the call, if you follow these simple steps, I guarantee you will increase your membership. The one other thing I wanted to mention for our membership in Rushmore Rotary, we modified the Rotary Leadership Institute program and condensed it down to about 4 hours. And so we do it on a Saturday morning, but it's the same thing that you had, Joel. We were trying to put too much in that first orientation and it just overwhelmed them too much. And so like you, now we just talk about our club, and then in that RLI, which we try and do twice a year. So like, you know, roughly every 6 months. And we talk about Rotary. The other thing that we do is we do some planning with them. How do you start a project? And we encourage that group to do their own project and then try and engage them, just for one other thing. And then the last thing I would mention that to me is a real simple thing, and it comes back to what you said on your club, Joel, as far as they have to invite 3 guests a year. Remember how you got invited into Rotary? Somebody asked you. And that's as simple as, to me, as that. You just have to ask somebody. So thank you, Joel. This was awesome. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Bruce.
We have a couple more minutes. If anyone has anything else, I guess I'll throw out a question coming from district leadership is, what can the district do to support support you and your club to help with membership? Would an orientation format be helpful? Would a follow-up to this? We will get you the resources, and especially I like Joel, the 1-page sheet. It's just simple. You just start talking about your club and what's important and why you go all the time and why you're still going. And Rotary is a fantastic organization. So I guess I would pose that question out there.
One thing our club did is we decided to invest in one of the single nice compact banners that just slide up that actually list the focus areas for Rotary, because we had a lot of older members that had been members for many, many years, some of them more than 50 years. They couldn't have identified what the 7 focus areas were. And so we put that up at every meeting along with the 4-way test. So that's just visible for everybody. And our plan is to put it up during our events like our bingo night and things like that too.
You know, on that note, Karen, I had one of my DG classmates that he's part of, like Joel was talking about, the strategic planning. They asked all the club members, which area of focus is most important to you? And they, get everyone's feedback on that, and then kind of choose, if you will, which one is the biggest one. And then they design a project around that area of focus to help in engaging their members. So that's, banner is an awesome idea, and just another way to use it. And then one other thing, if I may say, and I'd be willing to bet that Joel's done this too, but, doing a survey of your clubs, I think is a really good thing to do. You don't have to ask 25,000 questions. Just ask, 5 or 6 and get that feedback. And maybe a couple months later, you do another one. But it's always good to get that feedback from your club members to, again, try and keep them engaged. And like Joel said, a penny earned is a penny, or no, penny saved is a penny earned.
To add to what Karen said for our Laverne Club, and then what you said to Bruce, is one other thing that we're also doing is picking a Rotary member and spotlighting them for the month on our Facebook page and asking them, just like Karen said, what is important to you about Rotary? Why are you in Rotary? Why should other people join Rotary? And then sharing that out on social media as well to kind of get the word out to just the community in general of who's in Rotary. Maybe it's someone maybe you should talk to them and ask them about it. And then I also just wanted to say thanks, Joel, for the great presentation. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you again, Janelle.
Janelle, did you see how many likes and shares there were on that first post? And there were a lot
No,
of
I haven't.
people-
Was it a
Oh,
lot?
there were a lot, and a lot of people started to follow our page as a result. And I know it's
Awesome.
something else I went to in Rotary, they said we should send an invite out to those people who liked our page and are following it and ask them if they'd be interested in being members. So
Absolutely.
that's going to be added to the plan. So I was amazed at that post, and it was just a great family picture and one of our newest members to our club, so we could all get to know them a little bit more. So
That's a great idea.
Well, and if you're using social media, you're probably gonna attract a different demographic than what you're used to. It's probably gonna be younger. We had a situation where we had a new chiropractor to town. He's from Fargo. He's like 25 years old, and same thing. He came in through social media, and because I'm the membership director, I reached out to him, and he's a new member now. And it's a whole new, I mean, there wasn't wasn't a channel we thought we would ever get new members with, but not only did we get one, but we got one that we would have missed out on otherwise.
If there's any other questions or comments, it is 3:30 and we wanted to keep this short. We didn't want it to go a long time, but please feel free to reach out to Joel or myself or Linda. She can get you all of the contacts. And thank you all for participating. Anything else for the good of the cause? Otherwise, we'll go ahead and end this presentation.
My last comment was, this would be a great program for some of the clubs.
Yes.
very helpful, Joel. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Joel. Great.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.